Welcome Legion 7 to Sijada sessions. Cheers.
Cheers.
What does your name mean?
Legion is it's a military term, Roman military, a group of 4,200, around 4,000, between 4,000 and 4,200 people. Maybe fact check me. Blah blah blah. In the Bible, there was a demon named Legion, and I think. Anyway, in the King James version, there's a line that this demon says to Jesus that I think is like one of the most metal, beautiful lines ever. Basically, Jesus comes up to this man who's possessed with all these demons, and the village is like, help us, help us. This guy has all these demons. He breaks chains. He sleeps in tombs. Help. And so he goes up to the guy, and he's like, what's your name? And the demon's like, Legion, for we are many. And I just, there's a lot behind why I chose that. But yeah, okay, so that's where it came from. And I do lots of different stuff. And there's lots of people inside me.
You brought the song Not Special to Sijada sessions. Can you tell us about what is the song?
Okay, so the song started, or it was an idea that came along with a bunch of other ideas for a project called Everything I Do Embarrasses Me All the Time, which is a project that I just decided to throw all of the most petulant, whiny complaints that are in the dark recesses of my brain that I don't even acknowledge, and just throw them into songs and allow them to take the light for a second, just so I can stop pretending that they don't exist. And then maybe they'll go away. and so it always starts as characters, but I don't do a lot of character work. So of course whatever I end up writing for this character has something to do with me, like that whole ego thing. So this character is started off as a woman, but the original image was a woman with a bodybuilder's body and like no genitalia, but really strong muscles and really like shiny, like leathery skin. But her face would gradually age, like actually not gradually, like rapidly age. She had a rapidly aging face, but a really fit, tight body. And that was just to present a sort of, you know what? Let me get to the point. So the song, the song is about the classic fear of failure and death, and the complex we have with getting older, but in kind of like a meta way. The way oh God, come on, Sabine, you can do this. The way it pertains to me would be, if I'm being very honest with myself, it's like the fear of dying before making myself proud of something that I do. So for me, it used to be like I would tell people my age. This is where it came. I would tell people my age, and actually, this is where it came from. I would tell people my age, and they would usually go, "Oh, like I can't believe you're so young." And this has been my experience throughout my whole life. Like,
you know that this will change.
It's changing. Yeah, the people are always like, I perceived you as much older than you are, and if I admit it, that's always kind of been a point of subtle pride for me, like, I'm so mature. And the things I accomplish are so ahead of I'm making good time. And that's stopping. Like, that's just straight up stopping. Like, I tell people my age and they're like, oh, okay. And then I look at all the things that I haven't done and the things that I've expected to do by now, and I start to feel like, oh, okay, my age is catching up to me. I'm not special anymore. Like, it really comes down to this. It's very embarrassing. I've never said this out loud.
I think we all had it, at one point, so no worries.
Yeah, and so it's this fear of becoming irrelevant for yourself, and not being able to impress yourself, and your life not giving you joy, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to tell this story from the perspective, like, because it's a ridiculous fear to be afraid of death and failure, because both of them are guaranteed. Like, that's the case, And so I wanted to show that ridiculousness either through like an alien who's having like an alien creature who's just having a very human existential crisis, to show like the ridiculousness of the whole thing, or a robot or an android, which I think fits better because our connection to technology is developing more and more. We become more of each other. And yet one of the most rapidly changing elements of our life is technology. So if technology had humanoid feelings, or if I could add human emotion to it, the fear of being irrelevant would be probably the biggest one, because that happens like very, very quickly, So the idea of this android having this very human experience, which is also a very android experience, singing this song about how they're not special anymore.
The person or the character in your song you were saying like when you're about to die, you want to look back and say, okay, my life was meaningful, I had a lot of joy. So you have any plans in the future, in the near future?
In that context of like the looking back on my life and being okay with dying thing because I haven't wasted my time, I think I'm still pretty in a pretty juvenile place when it comes to that thought process. So for the moment, I still imagine that when I feel like I'm exerting myself to the utmost of my capabilities as an artist, as a musician, then I'll start to be satisfied with the work that I produce, like when I can do things all by myself, when I can direct people and create projects that are stunning and that make me proud, then I'll be able to look back on my life and say like, cool. But just from experience, I know that's probably that's more of an internal issue than a product of my creation issue. And so if I can project my mind into my more mature future, I might say something like, my goal to access that joy would be in just like being satisfied with myself and the way that I am in it, and also being convinced of myself already. But for the moment, I still like to entertain the idea of an excellent product.
Yeah, you were saying about like being able to do the stuff yourself, like to produce yourself. When did you start producing and working with electronics, and where do you want to go?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I've been making music for over a decade. That's nuts. But I only started producing last year, at the end of last year. So half a year, a little over half a year. Because I can't play any instruments, and that's always been like an insecurity of mine. And I always felt like it can't be the case that I'm attached to others all the time, to have to trust other people to translate what I'm giving them. I mean, that experience has been amazing, and I have a lot of experience with that, and it's extremely rewarding. But I also had this thing of like, I want to hear how it sounds in my head, or see what I can do by myself. And I started to do that. And just at the beginning, working with software, and I have all my nice gear, which a lot of it just came to me out of luck and the grace and the kindness of people in my life. You got me my first gears. Those were my first gears that I got from you.
The TC Helicon that you were using now, right?
Yeah, the TC Helicon it's not here, but I have a Mini Nova synthesizer, and that is where the original that was just like one note and the modulator. I was like, I can
that's
do that.
Really nice detail. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, that's because
cool.
of you, And so where do I want to go? Well, I want to be a dope fucking producer. Like, I will learn theory to get better at this, Yeah.
Super. Then thanks a lot for working with me and for, give us all these beautiful answers.
Thank you very much for having me on the Sijada sessions.
Legion 7, clap your hands. Bam, bam, bam.